Fans, we are live once again on the Hannibal TV on YouTube with another edition of the Countdown to TWA One and Done. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. We'll be joined by Chubby, Dudley in a bit, but I'm very pleased to have on the man who was the last ever TWA Heavyweight Champion of the world and is going to be in the main event for TWA One and Done May 3rd in Philadelphia against Breaker Morant. And I am talking about a standout in the Northeast scene. He is known as the Heartkiller, Chris Wylde. Chris, thanks for coming on tonight.
The pleasure is all yours. I mean, it's all mine. This is great. I love going around and talking about this tremendous show we got coming up in less than a month. I can't even believe that. But yeah, less than a month till TWA One and Done.
Yeah, and before we get into the particulars there and your role in the main event, I wanted to just give the fans of the Hannibal TV a little bit of background information as to your really standout career that you've had, starting with, I know you attended shows as a kid and got a passion for the business then, but what really made you decide to pursue the professional wrestling career? And was there a moment where that came into focus, or was it something that you grew into?
I'm going to be honest. I mean, like all of us and anyone that's watching this, I grew up a wrestling fan. It was my escape. I grew up in a divided family. So at times pro wrestling was, my male role model, so to say, which is scary when you think of some of the guys that used to be on the screen back in the day. But I'm 5'7". I've always been a smaller guy. So growing up with giants, it would be the same as me thinking I was going to play in the NBA, right? Like I never had much thought of becoming a professional wrestler. It seemed like a pipe dream. And then I find myself very early 20s. Actually, I wasn't even able to drink yet. And I was working at a bar, and I met a guy named Jeff Rocker, who was a big bodybuilding type guy that had wrestled for the ECWA, did some stuff with ECW. At the time, he was in a relationship with Francine, and he was legit, man. And he had a school, and he came into the bar, and he started talking to me about wrestling. Obviously, he looked so much different than everybody else. I knew there was something special about him, and he invited me out to his school. And next thing you know, I just wanted to be maybe a referee or a bell ringer. And next thing you know, after that first bump, it was like, man, I want to do this. I really do. And him and a guy named Mark Haro, who also helped him train, I was there just about, every other day for the next year training. And it was, once it came into focus for me, was as soon as my shoulders and my back hit that mat. It was like, holy shit, I want to feel this all the time. And I mean, it sounds crazy because it hurts, but yeah, man, it was just been full go since then.
That origin story is quite unique in that you saw that you were going to pursue this despite some challenges, and you, which we'll get into in a second, have had a very standout indie career in the Northeast. But before we jump into that, I just want to recognize the man himself, Bay. Welcome to the show, the fifth episode of Countdown to One and Done. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Sorry I'm late, but I'm here and I'm looking forward to hearing what Chris has to say because he's gotten my attention. I'll say, he's voiced his feelings, his obvious displeasure on the situation at hand, the way things have been handled the last few months, and the scary part is I agree with him, and I also I have to say, as he said numerous times over the last few weeks, he deserves his flowers, and I'm looking forward to giving him and Breaker their flowers and seeing what's going to happen, because the truth be told, and before we get into the whole situation at hand, um, and Chris had said this on previous interviews, this whole match between Chris and Breaker was all because of Joe Goodhart. I've never truly seen Chris work. So I've seen Breaker work very early in his career. He worked a couple shows for me, but in the 25 years that's passed, I haven't seen Breaker work because I walked away from the business. I haven't seen Chris work all these years, so my attention is now peaked and very interested.
Yeah, we're going to get into all things with the show in a minute, but I wanted to ask Chris. You competed in the Super 8 tournament in 2010 and 2013. You faced all the top indie talent in such a prestigious event. I wanted to ask you how your competition in those tournaments influenced your growth as a wrestler, seeing that you could more than hold your own with like I said, the top talent.
I mean, the first thing we got to do is talk about that Super 8 tournament, man. Those that don't know, or some people that might be watching this that are friends of mine that just want to see what the hell I'm doing with wrestling right now. The Super 8 tournament is almost like the Super Bowl of tournaments for professional wrestling. It was a tournament that, if you're a fan of Ring of Honor wrestling, if you're a fan of the X Division in TNA, this is what spawned that. This was an idea by Jim Kettner to showcase some of the guys like me, or some of the guys that, size-wise, or some of the guys that maybe hadn't had the platform to show off what they could do. And he brought in talents from all over the world. I mean, it's been said over and over that people probably know by now, but, you get your Daniel Bryans, your Tommaso Ciampas, Adam Cole, Low Key, Christopher Daniels. I mean, the list goes on and on. The Hardys, Christian. I mean, it goes on and on. So, again, and I'll say this, and I'll be truthful with this, and I've said it before. Even when I started wrestling, right? Like, even when Jeff was training me and I started wrestling, it started to just be kind of fun for me, right? It was still like I was doing it, but I still wasn't in the mindset of, man, I could get a contract with WWE, or I could be on the TV with WWE, or I could be in TNA. I didn't have that mindset. Maybe I should have. So to get a call from Jim Kettner, and this wasn't an email or a Facebook message, this was a phone call from Jim Kettner saying, hey, what are you doing on this date? And would you like to be in the Super 8? It was, jaw-dropping for me. It let me know, man, I guess, maybe I can be on that level. And then that day comes, and back then the Super 8 was so secretive. It was so, I mean, it's not like every other indie show. You go and you shake everybody's hand, and you go in the locker room, and you have the sheet, and you see what you're doing. That wasn't the Super 8. You get there, you're dressed to the nines, which I still do today. You have secret photo shoots, you have secret little booking, like everything seems so big and so just magnified to anything I'd ever been involved with before. You talk about the competition. Again, I'm going into this, and I know I'm a local guy, grew up in Delaware. ECWA is Delaware-based promotion. One of the first indie wrestling I ever saw was ECWA. So again, this is like a boyhood dream type thing. But I'm still I'm still kind of an optimist, and I'm going, I know my role here. I'm the local guy, right? Maybe he needs a couple more local tickets sold. I always, and it feels like this has been going on my entire career. I've always been so nice, and I've always been so humble. And that day, I got the surprise when I beat Alex Reynolds in the first round. So now it's not just the local guy. Now it's, hey kid, show off your shit. Can we use those words here? Or we good?
You can say whatever you want.
All right, awesome. So, hey, kid, show off your shit. And me and Alex had a great first round. And I'm like, damn, this is amazing. Come to find out, my next opponent would be Tommaso Ciampa. And man, I mean, you talk about intense. That was when he was at his like optimal intense version of himself. And we went in the ring and had a hell of a match. I didn't come out on top, but I never thought I would be in the ring with a guy like him or like Alex in that tournament. And it was great, man. One of the when I think about my career and I can think of things vividly, I can still just talking to you have those feelings. So yeah, mixing it up with them and then getting a call from Jim after the Super 8, inviting me onto the roster full time. It was unbelievable.
I was gonna ask you that. Were you working for Jim at the time, or
No, I was
that's
working for a rival, well, not a rival company, that's stupid, but another Delaware company called DCW
okay?
that Jeff kind of started before he moved to Florida. And the thing was back then, if you worked for another company in Delaware, Jim wasn't touching
No,
it.
yeah.
Jim was
Jim was
not,
very, yeah.
and it made sense to me because he was the type of guy that he wanted the best of the best, and you were only going to pay to see the best of the best at his company, which made sense. If you could see him, if you live in Southern Delaware and you want to see Chris Wylde, you're going to pay for him in Southern Delaware, not Northern Delaware.
Yeah.
Well, now when you just take him and put him in Northern Delaware, you're going to make that ride. So yeah, just Jim Kettner was a genius, I think, in pro wrestling, and that's one of the moves that I always appreciated. But yeah, it wasn't working for him at the time, and after that Super 8, man, I'd worked for years for ECWA, even though about 3 months in is when he retired.
Okay.
But yeah, it was that was the moment when I was like, okay, let's go. And I also had a daughter at that time, and I was like, I got to start making money. Like going out and partying and stuff after indie shows is good, but this is got to be serious now.
Yeah.
So.
Fans that may not be, familiar with your work. I did, I've seen your work with Papadon, another standout talent who's been on Great North Wrestling shows. Your moves, your signature moves like sliced bread #2 and the flipping powerbomb. Your style blends technical skill with high flying. It's very unique in that respect. How did you develop that move set, that style, and who would you list as your biggest influences?
So early in first as a kid, I had 3 guys. As a small child, the first guy that attracted me to professional wrestling was the Ultimate Warrior, because he looked like a goddamn superhero, like something off a comic book. Like, how could you not watch that, right? As I got older, Bret Hart was my guy, right? I mean, he was the coolest looking guy on the roster. He was the best in the ring. And then Shawn Michaels, I started going, I kind of like his attitude, that bad attitude, right? Like, I kind of like his swagger. So it was always Warrior, Bret, and Shawn. So early in my career, I wanted to use a style like both those guys, like Bret and Shawn. Jeff told me for the longest time, this is a cosmetic thing. This is a cosmetic business. Go to the gym, get big, like Warrior, right? I didn't want to listen to Jeff. I wanted to do all the coolest moves. I was watching guys like Brian Kendrick, who was a real big influence on my work rate, or my work style, I should say. Daniel Bryan, there was Brian Danielson. Again, guys like Shawn Michaels and, the Hardys and some of the more flippy guys that were on the indies. I wanted to do that shit, right? I wanted to do all the jumping and the flipping, and I did. And just like in any sport, you kind of have to evolve. And I started to notice, yeah, this is cosmetic. This is a cosmetic business. Started to work on my body. And now my style is a little mixture of that cruiserweight style, but also I like to wrestle like guys like Jamie Noble and Mike Mondo, who's on NWA TV right now, are big influences for me. So that's kind of how I built my style, is watching some of those guys. And then also, again, this is cosmetic. So every day I'm in the gym trying to work on my body and character as well.
A fan on social media sent in a question earlier asking about the Heartkiller moniker. How did you come up with that, and what does that represent about your in-ring style or persona?
So I get at that a lot about what does the Heartkiller mean? Is it just a cool, catchy name? Is it something to put on a t-shirt? And honestly, again, you go back to Shawn Michaels, and he was a Heartbreak Kid, right? And you think Heartbreaker, and I always thought as myself as a guy that when you go in the ring with, and you see kind of my size, like the bigger guys, like they go in the ring with, they see the size of me. They might have their heart set on winning that match. They might have their heart set on being champion. Whatever they have their heart set on, after they're done with me, I'm going to not just break their heart, because when you break something, you can fix it and put it back together. But I'm going to take their heart and I'm going to kill it, because when you kill something, it ain't coming back. It's gone forever. So that's why, the Heartkiller Chris Wylde came to be. And I say Heartkiller, like I brought up in the interview I had with Breaker, you know, kind of how like the Philadelphia Eagles this year were Heartkillers. The Chiefs had their hearts set on three-peating, and the Eagles absolutely killed it. They killed it. They took out their hearts and they killed it. So that's what that represents for me, and it works whether I want to be a little bit edgy or if I want to slap hands and kiss babies. It works both ways. So it's kind of the perfect name for me.
As I mentioned right off the top, you were the last ever TWA Heavyweight Champion. Yeah. When you first heard about One and Done and the concept, and Mr. Goodhart reached out to you, what were your immediate thoughts?
So this was actually given to me as, hey, we need somebody for Breaker Morant to face in his retirement match. And he and I, as what Joel said, we want it to be you. I took that as a tremendous honor. I could talk to you for hours about Breaker Morant. I could talk to you about the type of man he is, about the type of father he is, about the type of performer he is. And he's top notch in all those areas. He's the type of guy that you look at in this business. And I said this again, and I'm going to regurgitate this from Carmella's show. But when Jeff was taking me from show to show before they let me get in the ring, because back then they didn't just let you have 2 practices and then you get in the ring. He introduced me to Breaker and said, hey, man, this is one of the good guys in the business. And he said that behind his back. This is one of the good guys in the business. Like, if you see him at a show, watch him. Just watch how he handles himself. And I never forgot that. And every single time that I rather saw Breaker or I got the chance to work with Breaker, that's what it was, man. He's 100% pure class of a human being. So when I was told, hey, this is going to be you and Breaker, I wasn't even told it was going to be at the 2300 arena. I wasn't told it was for anything to do with TWA. Those details kind of came in a little bit later, which just sweetened the pot for me. So I was thrilled. I couldn't, I was like, man, imagine the promotion that this is going to do for me and my career. I have not wrestled at the 2300 arena. I feel like the only guy in this area to still not have to watch the show there with ECW, but not competed there. So, and again, this is months ago, and I thought everything as promotion wise and as far as pushing me and Breaker was going to be great. A little bit disappointed. We can not talk about that or get to that later, but I was absolutely thrilled when I was told that this was going to be Breaker Morant's last match, and also just add to TWA. I'm the last TWA Heavyweight Champion. Again, that still means something to me.
Well, fans are definitely talking about the show and the WrestleCon. You've got so many of the legends of TWA and classic pro wrestling on the show. We're talking some pretty epic matches. In addition to yours, we've got Tony Stetson's last match ever in a lumberjack match. We've got Johnny Hotbody there. We've got so many of the guard there representing TWA. That must be an honor too for you to be in that company with those old legends.
So yeah, I was gonna take this interview as a chance, as an opportunity to kind of apologize for some of the things I said on Carmella's podcast. Because I used some words, I used some language, and I said some things that at the time I said, man, maybe I'm going too far with that. And it's just, I can't explain the feeling, man. It's like seeing your grandmother punched in the face, right? When you bring up, and speak of the elderly, when you bring up Tony Stetson, or you bring up Johnny Hotbody, or I know that Mike Tartaglia is going to be in a match, or I know that there's going to be a lumberjack match where half of these guys, I mean, it's going to take them, it's going to be like an Undertaker entrance just to get them to the ring. And we're not talking about, again, what I just was telling you about, Breaker Morant and Chris Wylde. The last thing we talked about was that, hey, being the last TWA Heavyweight Champion actually meant something to me. And you follow it with, hey, how about these legends? It must be an honor for you to be in the ring. I haven't taken things far enough in my career. That's why Bay, it it's like kicking me in the gut when you say you have never seen me work, when I've been absolutely tearing it up everywhere I go for all these years, because you know what? I haven't taken it far enough. I haven't went far enough. I've been the nice guy. I've been humble, and I'm kind of tired of it. And this is just going to be, if this is what every interview is going to be, then this is what it's going to be. Okay. I was the last TWA heavyweight champion. TWA was buried and gone. And then Breaker Morant beats Glenn Osborne to win the championship. Another guy that's probably going to be on the show, Glenn. And nobody knows about it until the Heartkiller Chris Wylde takes it. And then not only beats Breaker, who had the belt for 700 days, but beats Papadon for the ECWA title, who had the belt for 500 days. And when PWI was on every single newsstand in the country, my picture with the words TWA and ECWA Unified Champion was in it. Pages and pages of material on me and that belt. The first time since the fucking 80s that the letters TWA were probably mentioned in that magazine. Early 90s, 80s, same thing. I don't know. But we want to talk about the legends. I don't care. I don't give a damn that Ric Flair is going to be at the convention before. I could care less. I don't care that Mick Foley's doing videos about how he can't be at the show, but he can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm so tired of the fact that there's not posters with the Heartkiller Chris Wylde and the TWA championship. How come I'm not going into that building as TWA champion? Let's ask those questions. Where's Joel Goodhart for that?
That's a good question.
Oh, he was the last heavyweight champion, but I'm wrestling for the title when I'm the champion.
If I could just stop you for a minute, since you brought it up, I was going to ask you if you don't mind. You put out a statement last week that I think has a lot of folks talking about. Maybe you could expand upon this and what you mean by this. I wasn't going to go there, but I guess we might as well. Here's your statement.
What's up, everybody? Heartkiller Chris Wylde here, and I want to let you know how much May 3rd in Philadelphia for TWA's one-night return means to me. I mean, that's what Joel Goodhart would want you to hear. That's what everyone running promotions for the show would want you to hear. But the fact of the matter is the Heartkiller Chris Wylde has sat back, and I've watched as they've promoted all the old guys. I've watched how they've promoted the guys awkwardly holding their phone like they've never done it before, telling them how special the TWA is and how great May 3rd is going to be. And I'm sure that's what you want me to do too. But as I watch these highlights and I watch guys like Mick Foley talk about the TWA, and I watch the company laud Ric Flair, who's going to be there earlier in the day at the convention, I see absolutely no sign of them mentioning that the Heartkiller Chris Wylde was the last ever TWA heavyweight champion. I see no sign of them talking about how Chris Wylde brought TWA back to the magazines when Pro Wrestling Illustrated was on every newsstand and every grocery store in America. But yet I hear Joel Goodhart talk about how the one match that he always wanted to promote was the Heartkiller Chris Wylde versus Breaker Morant. I'm going to speak more on May 3rd, and I'm going to tell you exactly what the TWA and this show means to me. But it's going to be on my time. And when the time is right, all I've got to say is that the apology better be as loud as the disrespect has been.
You want to clarify that at all?
I mean, I think I made it pretty clear in that video, the story behind that video. And it's funny because, Joel has had great communication with just about everybody on the roster for this show. And one of the things that he asked for was, let's do a good minute video of everybody telling you like how great TWA is and what the show means to you. And I just watched all these guys, hold up their phones like they never had before and take these real cringy promos. And now it's my turn to do that. And I was going to do the same thing. Hey, May 3rd is going to be special. TWA, the Heartkiller Chris Wylde, first time in the 2300 arena versus Breaker Morant. No, I've had enough. To clarify, I've been disrespected. And I told you that before we went to that video. The disrespect of me being the last TWA heavyweight champion and not even being recognized as champion going into that building that day is huge. It's huge to me, but it's also my fault because I've been too humble, because I've been too nice to Joel Goodhart. I see videos online of him talking about the one match that he could have promoted and could have main evented all these places back in the day was Breaker Morant versus Chris Wylde, because and I'll tell you this right now, Breaker and I have had to turn down bookings for us together recently because of May 3rd. People like the way we work. We have a chemistry. We bust our ass. I'm the main event just about every time I'm on a show, whether it's the last match or not. But for absolutely no, and you look at just the advertisement for this thing. Hardly anything about Breaker and me. There's I mentioned on Carmela's show about how nobody came to me asking me for highlights of some of the matches that me and Breaker have had. Street fights, Iron Man matches, submission matches. We've had so many different matches, and not one person from the TWA production team has come to me asking for them. And then I get one of them immediately after that asking me for the information or the clips from me and Breaker. And there's this little thing called YouTube. And nobody from TWA even had the audacity to put our names into YouTube to find that material. But I'm just supposed to sit here and I'm supposed to promote this and I'm supposed to be the nice guy. Chris, you're the nice guy. Robbie Illuminati told me I was the nicest guy in wrestling. I'm too nice for wrestling. That shit's over with. That shit's over with. And the fact of the matter is, and Bay, I can tell you this, after May 3rd, and this isn't no shitty wrestling promo, and this isn't something to get my match over with, or I'm telling you for a fact, whether I'm wheeled out of the 2300 arena, everyone is going to know who the Heartkiller Chris Wylde is. There's not going to be somebody saying, I haven't seen your work and I've been in the business for years. That's over with come May 23rd or May 3rd at the 2300 arena. The Heartkiller Chris Wylde is going to be the guy that everybody is talking about. And as I told Breaker, and you know what? I talk about the apology has to be as loud as the disrespect because some famous people have actually said that same quote recently. Breaker Morant, as much as I have given him his flowers, as if we're going to say, as much as I've talked about how great he is, had the gall to look into his camera on his couch with his family behind him and say, you know, Chris is great. If he was 6'2", he'd probably be on TV every week. Yeah. You know how much I've heard that? And I kind of took that as a compliment before. No, that's one of the biggest insults you can ever say to me. Because I'm going to be the biggest man in that goddamn arena come May 3rd. And then Breaker, when he's retired and he's sitting on his couch and he's watching his Monday or Friday or Wednesday wrestling, he's going to see me on the TV. And I'm not going to be 6'2", but I'm still going to be the Heartkiller Chris Wylde.
You know, Chris brought up an interesting thing throughout his words that I never even thought of or realized, because again, I was out of the business for that 20 plus years. So when Chris, you're saying you were the unified TWA ECWA champion.
Yeah. You
were the very last TWA champion. So I don't even know, again, this is where I was out of the picture. I don't even know what happened. So TWA just went by the wayside and you were still champion. That was it. And then it was ECWA or.
So again, we're going a little bit behind the scenes here, but at this point, give a shit. So Mike Tartaglia, who everybody knows he's going to be on the show. He had bought an ECWA from Jim Kettner.
Correct.
And I'm going to say something about Mike Tartaglia right now, and I don't give a shit if it pisses people off or not. Everybody thought that the ECWA was going to sink when he bought that company. He's a very outspoken man. He said a lot of crazy ass things before, but some of my best years of my life were when he ran the ECWA. I think he did a tremendous job with that company. And he also had bought the TWA before he bought ECWA. Mm-hmm. So having both those companies, I mean, and he was the first guy to run in that skate zone in Voorhees, that Flyer skate zone. So it's just, imagine that you've got these two big companies trying to balance that. And again, a lot of these guys, and he was too, as a family guy, it was hard to do. So one of them had to disappear, and TWA had been gone for so long before Mike bought it. ECWA was still the fresh product, and in my view, the better product. He went with the better product. So I beat Breaker Morant for the TWA Heavyweight Championship, and then I got into a feud with the Greek god Papadon, who was, and he still is, but he was absolutely on fire at that time, beating everybody, having classics, over 500 days as champion, wrestling once or twice a month with that title, and we had an absolute banger of a match. You could find that on YouTube too. And I beat him for that. And when that happened, TWA's title and the ECWA title became one. So
okay.
that kind of unified the belts.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Hey, how do you respond to what Chris has said here? You know, you being the office and all.
You know, like I said when I first came on, when this whole thing started coming about, when Joel Goodhart approached me wanting to do all this, and I agreed to be on board, and he appointed me booker, he said from Jump Street, he said, "You're the booker. You book the show. I am booking one match. There's only one match I want on this show, and it's Chris and Breaker." I said, "All right, it's your show. It's your baby." And, you know, he booked those guys, and that's when Breaker came to him and said, "Look, you know, this is going to be my final match. I'm going to retire." So then, you know, we made it that. But then it might have been 3 to 4, maybe even 5 months into starting to promote this thing, where I think maybe Joel told me, or I heard maybe, I don't think it was Chris, but somebody say, maybe it was Breaker. No, you know what? It was Breaker at Joel's house when we had the get together, saying that him and Chris were the last 2 TWA champions. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. So I said to Joel, I said, well, we got to make this, you know, a TWA heavyweight championship match. It only makes sense. They're the last 2 champions. Let's do it. And the winner is now the forever TWA champion. So again, being out of the picture for decades, so much I didn't know, and I'm still learning step by step. But when Chris's video was sent into the office, we'll say, it opened my eyes. And then when I saw his appearance on Carmella's, him and Breakers, I was like, wow. Like, as much as, and Jack, you know, because I as the booker, I've had some interesting situations with yourself and Hannibal.
That's one way to put it.
I can't argue what Chris is saying. I really can't, because, you know, I'm a person about respect, and the TWA is what taught me about respect. And, you know, what Chris is saying is right. Him and Breaker have been disrespected for this in the promotions, and they are going for the TWA championship. There's going to be a new and forever champion crowned that night at the 2300 Arena. So,
and listen, I respect the hell out of Joel Goodhart. You know, for him just to say, and I know he's not full of shit, because he's, again, putting us as the main event when he says this is a match. And he was front row for these matches, by the way. He was Breaker's manager for most of it. And then, you know, there's another side of me that poked out that is in full bloom right now as we speak, where Joel was my manager for a little bit against Breaker. So he's seen both sides. He's seen some great matches, and it means a lot that he wants to book us. I just think he has now been disillusioned with the pageantry of what's going to happen with the Ric Flairs and the whole TWA one and done. Now it's not about Chris Wylde and Breaker Morant. Now it's about everything else. And I'm going to prove to him, and I'm going to prove to the world, because when this, and it's almost, for me, it's almost a double-edged sword, right? Because, yeah, I was disrespected, but at the same time, my eyes were opened with that disrespect, and not just for this show, but for my entire career, because I'm at a crossroads where there's people that are fans of me that can tell you every single match that I've had. They can tell you about the stuff I've done on WWE TV. They can tell you about the stuff I've done on AEW or on TNA. And then there's guys like Bay that are like, I've never heard of you or watched you wrestle.
I have heard of you.
So
I've heard of Chris for years. I've seen through the world of social media, I've seen all the promotional posters for shows he's been on for 20 years. I just never actually saw one of his matches.
Which means whatever you saw didn't leave an impression that made you want to watch. On May 3rd, that impression will be left again. And I mean this from the depths of my heart, on my children's eyes. After May 3rd, the impression is going to be left, not just on you and not just on everybody in that arena, but on the entire world of professional wrestling. I'm telling you, I'm going to bring something. There's a fire that is burning inside of me right now, and I've got nothing to lose. Before, in the past, I was worried about, I had to be the nice guy in the locker room. I didn't want to politic too much. I wanted to be one of the boys. That's over. That gets you nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. I was at a bar couple months ago with a good friend of mine. You're going to end up hearing a lot about him in times to come. His name's Big Trouble Ben Bishop. He's 7 foot tall. Probably the next big thing. Huge on social media. And, he was ready to just get out of the business because things weren't lining up for him. And we both said, you have to have a killer instinct. You can't worry about what the next guy is going to say. And because of that, again, he's insanely huge on social media, and me as a performer, as a professional wrestler, I'm ready to absolutely tear it up in any arena I go to. And the most famous arena, one of the most famous arenas, is next on my list. It's next on my list. And Breaker Morant, as much as I love Breaker Morant as a human being, he's not in the mindset that I am. He has come to terms with the end of his career. He had a great match against Richard Holiday at GCW a couple weeks ago. I think it was last week. And he has come to terms that it is over. And it is so apropos that my first time in that arena is going to be his last. But it's up to him whether he walks out or he's stretchered out. And the Breaker I see now, he don't stand a damn chance against me. He just doesn't.
Yeah, hold that thought, because I wanted to ask you one last question along those lines. But if I could play devil's advocate for a minute based on what you're saying about, I guess, disrespect. If you look at the poster for the card, you're right up front there. You and Breaker are right up front.
We're right up front, and there's probably 60 guys on that poster. There's 60 guys on that poster. I mean, being in the front row of a poster with 60 guys, and what does that mean to me? That doesn't mean much to me at all. If I had my way, there would be a one and done. It'd be a big poster of me and Breaker.
Okay,
somewhere. I mean, there's a little splash somewhere, but I mean, it's me, Breaker. It's, if you put that up again, it's Breaker, the franchise Shane Douglas, and then the Heartkiller Chris Wylde are the first three that pop off to me. And then my boy Darius Carter behind him. That's great. Thank you for putting me in the front. Thank you, whoever made that. I think it's a great poster, by the way. But thank you for putting me in the front. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about? Respect, that just proves my point. You put us in with all those other guys. All those other, I don't see anywhere saying for the TWA championship. I don't see Breaker Morant's last match. I don't see the Heartkiller's debut in the 2300 arena. I don't see any of that. No, I see everybody else. I see all the old guys. I see the franchise Shane Douglas, who has been in that arena and made history in that arena countless times. And I could work circles around right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, it is what it is. But again, I'm almost happy that happened, because I am going to prove to everyone May 3rd. And this isn't a promo or some kind of BS to get this thing over, man. It's not. It's not. I'm coming into that. I'm not coming into Philly as Rocky. I'm coming into prime Apollo Creed. That's what I'm coming into the 2300 arena. And you better watch out, because Apollo ain't losing this time.
Yeah, that kind of dovetails nicely into my last question. On, I believe it was Carmella's podcast, you said, it appeared to get pretty heated, and you just put over Breaker Morant, great human being, you have this great relationship, et cetera, and then you said that you were going to break him, which kind of had the implication of some serious bodily injuries. Is that really necessary for you at this point to get into that zone, or was that just getting a little emotional?
Absolutely, it was getting a little emotional, because I was tired of sitting there looking at him on the couch with a smile on his face, being the over-the-top good guy. I wanted to get something out of Breaker Morant. I wanted the Breaker that I saw all those years ago, the Breaker that threw me off 30 feet in the air off of a Titantron into a table. That's the Breaker that I wanted. The Breaker that tried to run me over in a car during a match. That's the Breaker that I want. The one that beat the shit out of me with a kendo stick. That's the Breaker Morant that I wanted. So did I say I was going to break him in front of his kids, in front of his family? Absolutely. And I'll let you know this, even though that was an emotional thing and it was maybe said to poke the bear and get the fire out of Breaker that I wanted, if that's what it takes for me to make an impression, if that's what it takes for the sheets and everyone else and everyone in every major wrestling office to kind of go, hey, who is this guy now? Then absolutely. If that's what it takes, I'm not just going to break his mind and his spirit. I'm going to break his body, whatever's left of it. That's what I'm going to do. This riding off into the sunset and cheering and holding up the belt and, Adrian, I did it for Breaker. It ain't happening. I'm sorry. It's not. If you want a feel-good moment, you better book something after that. You better have somebody come out and sing happy birthday to someone or somebody, because it ain't happening in that match. This match is about retribution for the Heartkiller Chris Wylde. And breaking Breaker Morant, again, it sounds great. It really does. It sounds awesome in a wrestling promo, but it's also true if that's what it takes.
Do you have any final thoughts for Chris Bay?
Again, this match wasn't on my radar. Now it's the main match I want to see.
It wasn't on a lot of people's radar, and that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. And again, that's what has got me. I said this too, man. I was at the Super 8 tournament a couple weeks ago, and I'm watching that tournament, and I'm thinking about the TWA because John Finnegan's there, Darius Carter's there, a lot of guys that are going to be on that show, and TWA is in my mind because it's going to be such a huge show. And I'm watching these guys in the Super 8, like Brian Morris, and these guys are working their ass off, and it's such a great tournament. And you know where I was? I was in the Battle Royal with guys like Mr. Ooh La La and Mozart Fontaine, who are decades past their prime. Mickey, I love you, but you know it's true. I should have been in that damn tournament because I'm better than all those guys in that tournament. Facts are facts. 1,000%. And then I think about the TWA match, and I'm like, man, there's no steam to this. There's nothing. This might as well be the Battle Royal. And that pissed me off. So that started it. That sparked this fire. That sparked what I said on Carmella's. That sparked what's happening now. Somebody great once said, I'm going to show you how great I am. That was Muhammad Ali. And am I comparing myself to Muhammad Ali? Maybe not in boxing, maybe not in entertainment, but on the 2300 Arena on the 3rd of May, you're damn right. I'm going to be Ali, and I'm going to show you how great I am. And Breaker might know, but he ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, Chris, I want to thank you for your time and your very impassioned comments. I think everyone in the arena behind the curtain, it's going to be a sellout. We're going to be watching this. Definitely the match that a lot of people are going to want and be interested in the outcome, not only because it will be the last ever TWA heavyweight champion, but because of the bar that you're setting here. Before we let you go, can you tell the fans where they can find you on your socials.
Yeah, because fans are lazy nowadays, I guess. I'm on Twitter at the Chris Wylde, TikTok at the Chris Wylde. I've got a YouTube channel. It's called Eagles News Now. I do sports, entertainment, wrestling, everything. Find me on Facebook. Google me. Ask ChatGPT who the best wrestler on the card for TWA is. It comes up, the Heartkiller Chris Wylde. You can find me literally anywhere. All you got to do is use your mind and use your fingers and stop being so damn lazy and type my name in. Joel Goodhart. I'm telling you, after this show, people are going to know where to find me. We're not going to have to say it. We're not going to have to pretend like they don't know. And I promise you that check better be in the mail before I step into that ring on the 3rd, because if not, even more hell's going to break loose. I am done working for free, and that includes being on this show. Done.
Well, sir, I again appreciate your time tonight, and we'll be looking forward to May the 3rd for this epic encounter. Thank you for.
Oh, and look, I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I'm gonna tell you now. You said, everyone says it's TWA one and done, right? One and done for TWA. That might not be true, because when I win again the TWA Heavyweight Championship, I might just bring that damn belt to every company that I'm in, and I might just defend that belt in every company that I'm in. Why? Just to prove everyone wrong once again. Now you can close it.
Well, I'll definitely keep that in mind for Great North Wrestling. Appreciate your comments and look forward to seeing you on the 3rd. Thanks again, Heartkiller Chris Wylde. Have a good evening, sir.
Pleasure was yours.
Wow.
You know what? You gotta. I gotta. Sometimes you need something to poke the bear and bring it to life. Sadly, it was the mistreatment and mishandling. But Chris Wylde, it's like the sleeping giant has been awoken.
Well, I think it's kind of I can see what he's talking about to a degree, but I don't want to take anything away from him. Greek God Papadon is a friend of mine, and I'm very familiar with his matches with Chris. I mean, he's an amazing talent. He's in a lot of ways a real generational talent. But I think this bitterness and this disrespect deal that he's on. I mean, bro, you've been in the business for how many years? This stuff happens all the time. I just think it could backfire. If Breaker Morant goes in there his last match, cool, collected, psychologically.
I don't know if you happen to see Carmella's interview with the two of them.
I saw a good snippet.
And Breaker, I'm wondering if Chris is right. Like, Breaker's going into his last match, and he seems just kind of like, is he already looking over to the sunset? And you know what I mean? Or is this wildfire streak in Chris now going to wake the sleeping giant in Breaker also and bring Breaker back to life for one more go round? It's going to be a hell of a freaking match. That's all I know.
Well, Mr. Goodhart knows what he's doing, obviously, and this match is, I bet we're going to be talking about a lot of things post-show, but this match is shaping up to be a real classic and something that people talk about for a long time. But in terms of the poster, I mean, look at how loaded that. I think the amount of people on the poster speak to the fact that it's such a loaded show, and they're right up at the front for the main event spot. But my goodness, if it was a normal show, you could be talking about this great main event match, but it's not a normal show. It's going to be the independent wrestling event of the year, and I'm not even talking about the WrestleCon, which has a lot of the talent headlined by Ric Flair, as Chris said, but you've got Tully Blanchard on there. We could take all day and go down the classic superstars, legends that are on this show. And I think the bottom line is, if you're in the Northeast, if you're in Ontario, you need to get those tickets and be at the 2300 arena, the ECW arena, for TWA One and Done, because I know we've talked about this in previous episodes too, but I don't think there's a convention or a show itself that will stand up to this, and that includes many others that I could name off the top of my head. And I know you are working tirelessly to put it all together. And I think if you're going to go to one event this year, this is the one. Heck, we're driving 8 hours, brother.
You know what's interesting too, when you just said that, when you're going to go to one event, there is 2 separate events on this one day. And I see, as people are buying tickets, some people will buy tickets to both, the smart people. And then I'm confused because some people will buy either tickets to the convention and not the show, or the show and not the convention. You need 2 tickets, so you don't want to miss either part. I mean, seriously, the afternoon is just going to be a 3.5 hour meet and greet with everybody. Legends galore, new talent that's coming towards the end of their career, talent that's already retired. And then we have the show that night that's going to feature all sides of talent and pay tremendous respect to those 3 letters, TWA.
You've got some really smart fans, TWA fans, and fans of the Hannibal TV, and Philly fans. Gianni here saying, can we talk about the no gimmicks match? I know you're, how should I say, you're really burning the midnight oil in terms of all the things you're doing, but I'm getting this a lot. There was a major article by an author who writes for Ring the Damn Bell. He profiled Hannibal and this huge match between Hannibal and Super Crazy, managed by myself, the no gimmicks match. And the author said, what exactly is a no gimmicks match? and you know what Hannibal said? He said, you better ask Tri-State what that means. He doesn't really care, because he's going to have the best match on the show, and he's going to take care of Super Crazy once and for all. So maybe you can answer that, Bay.
So the no gimmicks match, it's funny because when we were putting this together, and originally, I was saying to Joel, with all the matches, in Tri-State Wrestling Alliance fashion, I was really pushing and trying to convince Joel that every match needed a different gimmick. And we were leaning that way at one point. And then when things were, in the ever-changing world of booking this show, when we got your match put together, we were trying to come up with some type of name for the match. And I'm just like, you know what? Jax named the match, and he didn't even realize it. It's the no gimmicks match, which basically means there is no gimmick to this match, and it doesn't matter, because these 2 guys are going to go in there and beat the living hell out of each other, whether it's in the ring or out of the ring. It doesn't matter. And if they're going to use a gimmick, they're going to use a gimmick. If they're not going to use a gimmick, they're not going to use a gimmick. These are 2 amazingly trained professional athletes in the world of professional wrestling. Both have been around the world, and both are going to beat the living hell out of each other for the 2300 arena's enjoyment. So I'd advise you to get your ticket and watch, because you don't want to miss whatever the gimmick may be.
Well, I take that back about smart fans watching this program, because Gianni followed that up with saying he's proud to say Super Crazy is going to win because the arena is his house and nobody comes into Crazy's house and pushes him around. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but this is Hannibal's first appearance in the ECW arena. And you're a very wise man. You didn't get to where you are in life by accident. You're backtracking a bit I think it's a double cross. We, not to spill all our business out here, but we had very definite parameters. You know, Hannibal is a hardcore athlete. We were talking about that. And then all of a sudden, when you announced it, without letting me know hours before when we had a conversation about another stipulation, it's a no gimmicks match. We're going to really put it to them. So regardless of that, I'm past that. Hannibal's past that. He is training like an MFer. He's in the best mindset, the best physical condition. He's going to crush Super Crazy. And don't think that I don't know that you're a very devious individual as well, and you may want to stack the deck against us. But brother, I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to help. This is going to be the end for Super Crazy in the ECW arena. And after it's over, we're going to talk about how they made this happen, and you're going to have to live with that. So what do you feel about that?
All I know is history is going to be made May 3rd, 2300 Arena.
And I can't argue with that, fans. Again, go to 2300arena.com. Get those tickets for both, for the WrestleCon and the show itself, because I can guarantee you that this will not disappoint. It will be an event that is talked about for years and years to come. I want to thank our guests, Heartkiller Chris Wylde, and Bay and I will return in the weeks to come with more of the countdown to TWA One and Done. We appreciate all the fan support, the comments we get coming in, and we look forward to seeing all fans there on May the 3rd. Until next time, for Bay, I'm Jack Kilby. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or